chest discomfort that feels like heartburn. It's chest discomfort, but not the dramatic kind. This is a pressure, a squeezing, a fullness, sometimes right after a big meal, that feels an awful lot like heartburn. Maybe it shows up when you're walking briskly or climbing a hill, and eases when you sit down. Most people reach for an antacid and move on with their day because heartburn is so common and so familiar. But here's a hidden truth worth remembering. Heart-related chest discomfort and digestive discomfort can feel remarkably similar, and even trained clinicians sometimes need tests to tell them apart. So ask yourself honestly, does this discomfort show up predictably with exertion and fade with rest? Does it come with any of the other signals we're about to cover? What's happening underneath, in true cardiac discomfort, is that narrowed arteries simply can't deliver enough oxygen to the heart muscle when demand increases, whether that demand comes from climbing stairs or from stress. The reassuring part is that this is exactly the kind of symptom a simple evaluation, sometimes just a conversation with your doctor and a few tests, can clarify quickly. You don't have to diagnose yourself. You just have to take the discomfort seriously enough to ask. Shortness of breath during routine activities. Breathlessness often travels alongside chest pressure, though not always. This is that moment when a walk you've done 100 times, maybe to the mailbox or up a familiar flight of stairs, suddenly leaves you more winded than it used to. It's easy to blame this on being out of shape, or on getting older, or on the weather being humid that day. And sometimes that's exactly what it is. But when the heart isn't pumping efficiently, or when arteries are narrowed, your body compensates by breathing faster, trying to pull in more oxygen to make up the difference. If you've noticed you're stopping to catch your breath during activities that never used to bother you, that's worth mentioning to a doctor, not because it's automatically dangerous, but because catching a pattern early gives you so many more options than catching it late. Unusual fatigue during everyday tasks. Not the tired from a long day kind, but a heavier, deeper exhaustion that shows up after tasks that shouldn't be draining. Folding laundry, walking through the grocery store, tidying the kitchen. This is a signal that shows up especially often in women, sometimes appearing well before any chest discomfort at all. It happens because when the heart is working harder than it should to deliver oxygen-rich blood throughout the body, that extra effort drains your energy reserves even during ordinary tasks. It's easy to write off as poor sleep or a busy week, but if you find yourself needing to rest earlier and more often than you used to, without a clear explanation, that's a pattern worth paying attention to, especially if it's new and it's sticking around. More options than catching it late. Pain spreading into the jaw, neck, shoulder, arm, or back. Discomfort that spreads beyond the chest into the jaw, neck, shoulder, arm, or back. Catches people off guard because we're trained to think heart problems live only in the chest. But the heart shares nerve pathways with other areas of the upper body, so pain signals can essentially get scrambled and felt somewhere else entirely. Someone might feel an ache in their left arm, or a tightness across the shoulders, or even jaw discomfort, and assume it's a pulled muscle or dental issue. This is especially important for women to know, because they're more likely than men to experience these referred, less classic patterns instead of textbook chest pain. The takeaway here isn't to panic over every ache. It's to notice when discomfort in these areas appears suddenly, especially alongside exertion, and to take that combination seriously enough to get checked. Swollen feet or ankles. Maybe your shoes have felt tighter lately, or you've noticed a sock line pressed into your skin by the end of the day. This can happen when the heart isn't pumping as efficiently as it should, causing fluid to back up in the veins and seep into surrounding tissue, most noticeably in your lower legs, since gravity pulls fluid downward throughout the day. Plenty of things cause swollen ankles that have nothing to do with the heart: long flights, hot weather, certain medications. But when it's a new, persistent pattern, especially paired with breathlessness or fatigue, it deserves a conversation with your doctor rather than a shrug. Dizziness or fainting. This can happen when the heart's rhythm becomes irregular or when blood flow to the brain briefly drops. It's the kind of thing that's easy to attribute to standing up too fast, or not drinking enough water that day, and sometimes that really is the explanation. But recurring episodes, or fainting that happens without an obvious trigger, are signals your body sends when something deeper may be interrupting normal circulation, and they deserve prompt medical attention rather than being explained away. Heart palpitations or irregular heartbeat. That unmistakable feeling of your heart racing, fluttering, or skipping a beat. Here's a myth worth clearing up right now, because it causes a lot of unnecessary anxiety. Palpitations don't automatically mean something serious is wrong. Caffeine, stress, dehydration, and even certain sleep positions can all trigger a fluttering heartbeat in a perfectly healthy heart. But when palpitations are frequent, prolonged, or come together with dizziness, chest discomfort, or breathlessness, that combination is what shifts this from probably harmless to worth investigating, because it may point to an underlying rhythm disorder. Reduced exercise tolerance. Something many people notice only in hindsight, a gradual decline in exercise tolerance. Maybe you used to walk 2 miles without thinking about it, and now 1 mile feels like plenty. This kind of change is sneaky precisely because it happens slowly, so slowly that you unconsciously adjust your life around it instead of questioning it. You stop taking the stairs, you park closer to the entrance, you tell yourself you're just getting older. Sometimes that's true, but a real, noticeable drop in what your body can comfortably handle compared to 6 months or a year ago is exactly the kind of pattern worth mentioning at your next checkup. Because your own history is one of the most valuable diagnostic tools you have. Nausea, or indigestion-like discomfort. Many people assume that heartburn and heart problems are easy to tell apart. In reality, especially in women, older adults, and people with diabetes, heart-related discomfort can show up as nausea, indigestion, or general stomach upset rather than classic chest pain at all. If indigestion feels different than your usual pattern, especially if it shows up with exertion or alongside fatigue, sweating, or breathlessness, that's a meaningful clue, not just an upset stomach to ignore. Cold sweats. Cold sweats that seem to come out of nowhere, without a fever, without heat, without exercise. When the heart is under strain, your nervous system can trigger this kind of sweating as part of a broader stress response in the body. On its own, it might mean very little, but paired with chest discomfort, nausea, or pain radiating into the arm or jaw, cold sweats are one of the signals that should prompt you to seek emergency care immediately, not tomorrow, not after you finish what you're doing, right away. Subscribe to Health Facts Zone for more science-backed health tips every week. Click the next video on your screen to keep learning how to protect your health. Thanks for watching.